and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. On this edition of the program, Paris is set for its first Olympic Games in 100 years. Coming in from the world of tennis, Novak Djokovic and Nadal set for a second-round showdown. Brazil beat the Super Falcons in Olympic opener. Details of these and many more will be yours when we return from the break.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
Welcome back. It's Sports Talk, and Kingsley Emmanuel is here.
Thank you very much for having me, sir. Very happy to be here this morning.
Well, we'll get started as usual from the local scene and talking about Nigeria. Had a courtesy visit there yesterday, and the vice commodore of the club is of the opinion
Good one to see how, of course, people can also engage in the sports, like this. It will go a long way, of course, in making sure in shipping sports down here in River State, and also probably engaging more and if they participate or probably engage themselves in this one. And so I think for me it was a good gesture from the sport writers of Nigeria, River State chapter down here, to be able to go down there and make sure that they have that partnership, to, liberate and also give more exposure, to the sport. If people do not know about it, people will not want to engage or probably go to watch, the competition. So for me, I think it's a good partnership. It will go a long way in making sure that, of course, the sports, of course, will gain more popularity in the states and even in the country.
Well, let's stay away from that and now quickly go to cricket and talk about cricket. Kingsley Chikulo believes that the Kenya-Nigeria bilateral series that has provided the Yellow-Green Marines valuable experience they need, of course, opportunity for the side to gain exposure and display their potential on the continent of Africa. You are aware Nigeria did face Kenya in the 5 T20 games, and of course another 250 over matches, with the Simbas asserting dominance over their Nigerian counterparts.
Yeah, definitely. It was really a very good outing for the Yellow Greens of Nigeria. When you take a look at who they perform, you definitely see, of course, they had a little bit of the format. When you talk about Kenya, Kenya is another strong side when it has to do with cricket, of course, in Africa, and having this bilateral series, of course, that really help, of course, to expose the cricket tradition down here in Nigeria, and also give them that, opportunity to also associate and get themselves, of course, more intense in terms of, experience and all of that. So for me, I think it was a good one. It was really an impressive one. The Kenyans, of course, they won the first 2 games, Nigeria have to bounce back in the third and fourth game, and it all ended in a 2-1 draw. So for me,
coming all out, I think
So will give their best, and of course, the best should be good enough to the having an
I
A.
think Francis is going to coming up to cry over his spilled milk. I think there's nothing to hold on down here. The bout has gone. He was defeated, by knockout by his match. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. You're just coming into boxing and you're, locking horns with big names in the game like Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. There were too much, for him. So I never saw that possibility of Francis Ngannou putting up that particular performance of maybe taking down Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury. Maybe if he has gone for a lesser opponent, he would have possibly gained momentum. At least that would have actually built his confidence, in boxing. But having that, losing that 2 bouts was, a down in his morale. He actually brought down his momentum. So looking for another bout now in boxing might not be his next decision. I think he has actually shifted his attention back now to MMA. So for me, I think he started in a wrong foot. If he had started with a lesser opponent, maybe he would have probably gotten that momentum to continue in boxing. But for what it is, he has to go back and see how he can also get himself in shape, because boxing is a new terrain for him. He has to make sure that he gets whatever is needed to make sure he can be able to compete favorably in boxing.
Committees are in Paris, France. Of course, not forgetting the Refugees Committee as well. And it is the 33rd edition of the Olympic Games in modern day. We are seeing over 10,500 athletes that will compete in over 329 events out there in Paris. Yes, we've seen some drastic competition already, but the official opening ceremony is today, and it is novelty. For the first time, we are not seeing anybody in the stadium gathered, for an official opening ceremony. Like we mentioned there, this number of athletes, 10,500 of them, will be, watching from aside, and we know that this opening ceremony will take place along the river. This is for the first time. We've never seen a situation where opening ceremonies are outside of a stadium in the Olympic Games. And like we mentioned, in modern days, we've seen 32 editions already. This is the 33rd edition of the Olympic Games.
It's going to be an impressive one for what we've seen so far. Talk about the level of arrangements we've seen from from the previous one. Of course, opening ceremony being done, of course, in the river. I think the organizers, try the most they can to see how they can bring another level of creativity, not the usual thing, of course, we've been experiencing. So for me, I think it's another dimension, another aspect, another level of creativity, and we've seen from the organizer, just to make this one more colorful and make people, of course, have female athletes, and also 5,250 female athletes. So both the male and the female athletes coming down for this one are all in equal numbers. So it's really an impressive one. I think the opening ceremony tonight should be a glamorous one, where you take a look at the high level of arrangements. We understand that there's also a high level of security due to the little crisis, of course, down there in France as well.
Talking about security, we understand that along the routes of the River Sea, largely by boats, over 10,000 security operatives will be along this route to ensuring that there's no breakdown of law and order.
Yeah, I think for me, the security level has been in top gear. Yes, it has been in top gear. We understand even Spain have to actually put up some security, of course, down for this particular Olympic Games. That should tell you how the organizers, they've taken security very, very serious, because we understand that the situation in France, because of I think the presidential election, is also causing some crisis down there, and they're trying to make sure that they avoid anything, of course, that will be causing any trouble or probably any crisis in this particular Olympic. Over 200 nations, of course, will be coming down to this one, and over 10,000 athletes as well. So security need to be in top gear, or else we might possibly be hearing another thing. But for what we're saying, I think this Olympic will be in smooth shape, looking at how the organizers, they've taken security very, very seriously.
Well, talking about the Olympic Games that gets underway officially for 2024 in Paris today, we understand 32 sports disciplines will be on a showcase. Of these 32 sports disciplines, Kingsley, Team Nigeria will take part in 12. Let's look at Team Nigeria now. Team Nigeria, ever since very in the opening ceremony, we understand they've always shown, that's kind of panache at the opening ceremony at the Olympic Games. This would not be any different. Team Nigeria at the Olympic Games.
Definitely, I think we're very much prepared.
What happened to to Donald Trump in the United States of America, and you look at it, there has been some skirmishes in Paris, as and in France especially. Yeah. But this one, we understand, will go to almost about 16 cities, this opening ceremony, and a lot of people. 45,000, that's the number of police officers that would be on showcase to ensuring that there's no skirmishes, and 10,000 soldiers to join these 45,000 policemen.
Tight, and that's what, of course, we expect at this point. We understand that the presidential election in France has really caused, some panic, to some people, and that's why they have to tighten the security, level. And I think because of the Olympic, the election, of course, has to be put on hold to make sure that, of course, the level of, panic, of course, will reduce, among the residents down there in Paris. And I think for me, it's actually a good one. And from what we're seeing, the security level, I think for me, is really, really commendable. And I think it's very much needed at this point, especially at the opening ceremony today.
10,000 soldiers, 45,000 police officers will be on showcase only for the opening ceremony that is due to get underway. Apart from this number, 2,000 private security men, Kingsley, as well, are being employed for this opening ceremony. And not forgetting snipers that will be on top of roofs, taking into consideration what happened to Donald Trump in the United States of America just a few days ago.
Yeah, of course, everywhere have for the best, opening ceremony that the world will witness when it has to do with the Olympic Games. Because when you take a look at the arrangements already, you definitely, of course, will see that this will be an impressive one to watch. So we can't wait, to see what comes up tonight as it regards regarding the opening ceremony down there in Paris. 100 boats, I think for me, is a huge one, and that it will actually make, of course, the opening ceremony colorful.
Well, the Olympic Games are getting started officially today, and we told you Team Nigeria will be one of these, attraction at that opening ceremony, going by the color expected from Team Nigeria. Team Nigeria is being represented by 88 athletes in 12 sports disciplines: athletics, boxing, wrestling, football, basketball, canoeing, taekwondo, table tennis, badminton, cycling, swimming, and weightlifting. Kingsley, football events have already started. Super Falcons of Nigeria, in a match against their counterparts from Brazil last night, lost by a lone goal. Yeah,
it was a disappointing start, if you ask me, for Team Nigeria. Disappointing start. We didn't want to start on that poor note or bad note to say. At least a draw would have given Nigeria hope, going down to the Olympic game. But we understand that brought Nigeria to qualify. I think their next game will be against Spain, and they also have Japan to play. These are tough opponents. So a draw would have been a very good result against Brazil, but they couldn't actually block that, and they couldn't actually get the job done. So Super Falcons are in a dicey situation as it regards to that group where they find themselves.
Super Falcons started, do I say, on the wrong foot, but it's possible they can go out there and shock Spain, the world champions themselves, and see how they can get out their third fixture. But it wasn't only the Super Falcons that were in action. The other African representative, Zambia, was in action yesterday as well. Kingsley, I can tell you, it wasn't a good one. The United States of America whacked Zambia by 3 unreplied goals.
And a very, very disappointing performance, of course, from Zambia. We understand that, they've, when you talk about Zambia, you always mention Barbara Banda, but she was not, of course, very fantastic on the day. We saw, the United States of America, having the very best in that particular encounter, and being managed by former Chelsea of football women coach. That's Emma Hayes.
No doubt the best female coach in the world.
Best female coach, you see. And we saw the girls putting up, some high level of performance, getting 3 goals, I think, in the first half of that particular encounter was something very, very huge. The Zambians, tried as most of the can to come back in the second half, but it was too late as the United American ladies were already up there.
There was a red card in that fixture.
Yeah, red card in that fixture. And for me...
against the Zambians.
Against the Zambians. And it actually pulled them back as well. But they were not even, you take a look at it, they were not a very good match, against the United States of America.
Well, we want to take a break at this point. There's more to come from about the Olympic Games, the 33rd edition of Olympic Games that gets underway a few hours from now.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
I hope nobody carry belle.
Why you ask, oh?
Because this road where they see, so e no guarantee safe delivery.
We just dey vote for government, but we not get good governance.
At all.
Road so e no dey, light o usai, the infrastructure nko e come turn to be forbidden fruit for the city.
Corruption, quell everything. Hello?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Ayeni. I am calling from the Ministry